Alright guys, Gemini, back with another video, and boom, the wild card game, Giants and Mets tomorrow night. That shit's definitely on my mind, or we could be like Triple H with a sledgehammer, before he whacks someone in the face like he did Goldberg, SummerSlam 93 Phoenix, or SummerSlam 2003 Phoenix, and he beat the shit out of Goldberg in that Elimination Chamber match. This video is about, I just lost my whole train of thought. My buddy Morgan asked me to recap what Superbrawl 99 in Oakland was like live attending the event. I mean, we could just start from the top. Me and my buddy John, we got up really early in the morning. We wanted to be at the Oracle Arena in Oakland like super early. We just wanted to feel the atmosphere around attending WCW Superbrawl 99 in Oakland. We wanted to be around it. So we got up like real early, and it took us a while to get there because we drove through a massive snowstorm just to get there. It took us like twice as long just to get there because it was snowing. We were going over a mountain, and it just took us hours and hours and hours to finally get there. So yeah, we got there. We're pretty freaking tired. We got there early though, and we got to see all the wrestlers come in the back of Oracle Arena. We saw them all come in. It was cool too, man. We saw Rowdy Piper come in. We saw the Steiners come in. We saw them all come in, and that was pretty cool seeing Rowdy Piper, Ric Flair, and all of them come in. And then you get to the actual event, and it was pretty epic. I mean, it was pretty awesome. So yeah, I mean, Disco Inferno and Booker T came out there, and everybody's raising the roof for Booker T, and it was cool. I mean, this is when it first started. And as the show went on and on, man, I'm telling you, that crowd in Oakland that day was one of the most violent, drunk, rowdy crowds I had ever been around. There's the three roughest wrestling crowds I had ever been around. Detroit for 23, Chicago for 22, when they practically rape you with the frisk on your way into the building at the Rosemont Horizon. That was a rough crowd. But the roughest crowd I ever dealt with was the Oakland crowd that day. I mean, these people were lit. I mean, it was getting to the point where the people in the arena were so drunk by the time Bam Bam and Goldberg came out there. They fucking didn't even know who the wrestlers were. They just knew that it was like a big rock concert. They knew that Goldberg was out there, and man, they were drinking and cheering Goldberg, and it was this massive ass party, and they were having a fucking time of their life when Goldberg finally beat Bigelow. They were going nuts. And I'm telling you that I personally watched at least 15 to 20 people get their ass ejected out of the building. I'm talking about security guards carrying grown-ass men who couldn't control themselves out of that fucking Oracle Arena and right to a local Alameda jail there in Oakland. But yeah, it was no joke. I mean, it was a rough-ass crowd. And by the time Flair came out there, and he main evented that day with Hulk Hogan, and then Tori Wilson came out. She's like the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen at the time. Hogan and Flair came out, and Flair just fucking reveled in it. And him and Hogan had a non-PG fight, and it was beautiful, and they bled, and they fought hard, and Tori came out, and Flair was loving the rough crowd with all his experience in Philly and everywhere else that Flair had been, in Chicago and Detroit. I mean, Flair had been all over. He knew exactly how to handle a rough crowd. Flair was a babyface in the match. Hogan was the total heel. You know, at the end, you know, David Flair came out in the mask, and he zapped Ric Flair with the taser gun. And they're supposed to go like a big angle with this, but David Flair never showed up on TV the next day. So it was really like a huge screw up on WCW's part. But yeah, it was rowdy, violent, fun. The fun was over after the show because we got to drive back in the massive ass snowstorm, and that was pretty rough. And John was sleeping in the car on the way back. I was driving my Dodge Neon at the time, and John was passed out, and I was so fucking tired from driving all day to get there, going to the show, and then driving back. A couple times on the way back in the snowstorm, man, I had to open my eyes back up. I was so just exhausted, tired. I was falling asleep, man. It was a little scary on the way back. We had to chain up and chain down on the way back. in my little Neon, and that sucked. They rip you off on the mountain. They charge you like $40 the chain out, $40 to chain out. I mean, I could do it myself now because I drove a truck for a couple years. I mean, chains aren't a big deal, but back then I was just a young kid. I was only 19. I didn't know how to put chains on. I had never drove in a snowstorm. But yeah, it was intense getting there. The show was wild, drunk, rowdy, violent. Getting back was a nightmare. I still, when I see Jobber John, I'm going to punch him in the face for not helping me on that drive and falling asleep in the car. He had me deal with all that shit. We do that now. John's ass is driving, so Jobber John, if you're listening to this, brother, I'm going to beat your ass for falling asleep in the car. Anyways, that video is from Morgan, and I'm Gemini. Thank you for listening.